Next stage, a man looking for trouble. What can you see beyond the darkness?
When you look beyond the darkness, tell me, what do you see? It's your boy T-I-N-Y to the P. Yeah, he's looking for trouble here on twitch.tv with Crash or Jade or Spyro or Leon Kennedy. Is there a new game to start? Is he doing some art? Maybe knowledge of an 80s children's show to impart? Cause he's pentiferous, vigorous, rigorous. He's damn vociferous. When arting or Mario Karting, he's straight carnivorous. Tiny Peter. Tiny Peter.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
With a great rate of save states debating his fate, Peter's greeted by emote of cheaters when people donate. Give him a or a and we'll build up the hype, and I'll struggle to read half the words that you type. So are you ready to go? Come on, what will it be? Are we gaming or painting or watching dated kids TV? Grab a bite, crack a sprite, dim the lights, sit tight cause the stream's about to start and the mics sound right, boy. Tiny Peter. Tiny Peter.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Boy.
One too many pre-rolls there. I also ran the which at the moment I'm not supposed to be running because we've got two others to play. So he had a little bonus there, slightly more time to let your tea brew. I've let mine brew, but that's not why I ran it. It was already done. I promise. Yeah. I wasn't just buying time.
Oh yeah, here we go. It's a Monday stream with your boy Tiny Peter. Hello TP. How are you? How was your weekend? Amazing job on the 150th episode of Worst Games Ever. Hope you are having an amazing day.
Yeah, big weekend, wasn't it? Because it was the 150th episode of Worst Games Ever for... Was that just for... No, it was for everyone, because you only get it 3 days apart. So, was that this weekend just gone? I thought it still hadn't gone out yet, but I suppose it must have done, because you're talking about it right now. Yes, we've done our 150th Worst Games Ever. That was Hannah Montana the movie, the game, which is wonderful. And I'm just heading to the chat. I'm really confused. I didn't realise that had gone out. I thought, but then of course it has. Has it? No, it's not out on. It's not out on YouTube. See, I'm right. It's not out on YouTube. What? Patrons on Friday, YouTube. Oh, of course, it's because of the delayed. Yeah, of course. That really threw me off. I was like, But even if patrons have seen it early, they only see it early by 2 days, so it should be out by now. But it's because we had a week off in terms of content. It normally would have gone out this week on YouTube. This weekend just gone, but it's going out next weekend. I'm glad you're all paying attention. Callum Rudd's in the chat saying it's going out next week, Peter, and I'm like, oh yeah. What you mean on the channel that I work on and manage? Yeah, you're right. That's what's happening. No, I'm so used to it being 2 days apart or 3 days apart for patrons. It really confused me. Yes. So there we go. I hope patrons enjoyed the 150th episode of Worst Games Ever. I also had a very nice weekend because I went on the telly and I had a really nice time. Look at that there. Don't really know if I'm supposed to have that, but it was given me to me by a member of the team. So there, I have a Saturday mashup cue card. In fact, let me grab it. And I've also got a BBC Scotland lanyard. Is there anything that I should probably don't need to? Please return this pass to reception. Well, we did ask if we could keep it, and they said yes, you can do. But that's my BBC visitors lanyard, and then this is one. I'm so glad that I've got this. I can just pretend now that I'm a Saturday mashup host, and clearly it's okay. I think it's okay that I took this because it's been printed on, when we've been on different sort of sets and stuff in the past, because we've done one or two things like that. Sometimes they print off on a piece of paper and they just stick that to this, and then they reuse these cards. But this has actually been printed on, so I don't think they actually needed it back. So it's probably fine that I've got it. They probably just don't like a bunch of wild cards like us having officially branded stuff in case we do really bad things with it. But I'm going to treasure this for the rest of my life, so I won't be doing anything bad with it. I'll have to pop those over there now and put them up nicely in a minute, or after the stream indeed. And here's a little... No, I can't really show you that. You may have seen it just then when I got it out, but it's a piece of upcoming merch. I've got an early one, a tiny little thing, but it's exciting anyway. So we were on TV on the weekend, and it went really well. I think we were all very pleased with how it went. We were flipping knackered by the end of it. We travelled down on Friday night, and I got up at about 5:30 on Saturday morning to get ready in time. We went over, we had our makeup done. I don't want to talk too much about it because me and Ben, either one or both of us, are going to bring it along to the next Podiots episode. So some of it we'll talk about over there. But generally speaking, we went along, and we were on TV and we played some silly games. I got to drive around in a tiny car, but this time it had an engine and a pedal that worked, unlike our compact coupe custom pink TripleJump car. I had a real tiny electric car. I drove it around a track, raced against Ashton. I won't say who won, in case you are wanting to watch the show yourself and haven't seen it yet. We did a game review. We answered some questions for some very nice children who were in the studio and at home. We met some of the girls from Mallory Towers, who were absolutely lovely. They were staying in the same hotel as us, and we all got a car over in the morning. I have got a clip that I kind of want to show. Not really sure the legal ramifications of that, but I mean, in the interests of cross-promotion and promoting the show, possibly I could, it might be a bit of a grey area, and they might not care. They might never know. But if they do ever find out that I've played an 8-second clip from the show, it's purely in the interest of cross-promotion and to say how much of a wonderful time we had. And it's not a major moment. It's actually quite a subtle moment that I kind of want to talk about because it's quite funny and interesting. So maybe at the end of the stream, we will watch that. Anyway, that's probably all I'll say for now. Ashton might tell you absolutely everything there is to know on Wednesday, but I suspect Ben tomorrow might not say too much on his stream for the same reasons that I've not said much, because we do want to talk about it a bit more on Podiots. But there you go. It was wonderful. I had a fantastic time, and I do hope we can go back and do it again, because it was really, honestly, possibly the highlight of my career so far. So, it doesn't get much better than that, does it? Thanks to everyone who just engaged with us on social media while it was going on, before and after, and all the support. People who actually watched along on the day. We've heard from a few people who watched it. It was brilliant. So, and thanks for supporting TripleJump and getting us to where we are now, to the point that we can go on the TV and the BBC can justify having us on, because we've got 95 million views, I think is the stat that they quoted on the day, which may even be out of date, and we might have now hit close to 100 million. I don't know. But I think they pulled that from the website, from a bit of old copy that's on there, so I'm not sure. Before I go any further, I'm going to alert a couple of alerts that went out at the start of the stream. I think it was these two. There's that one, and then there's another one coming up. So not a tadpole. Thanks for subscribing. Did I say tadpole? I may have done. Happy Monday, TP and stream. Thank you for your 49th month. I've pressed the other one. There it is. Callum Rudd just subscribed, resubbed via Prime for 13 months. Thank you, Callum. And then thanks again, Stephen, for the bits. Glad you enjoyed Worst Games Ever and had a great weekend. Ed Hoik resubscribed for 53 months in a row on the streak. Life in the US is pretty terrible right now, indeed. I'm sorry to hear that. I think this might be the first stream I've done since the news, possibly. But communities like TripleJump are a real light for me. 53 months of subscription well spent. Well, thank you very much, Ed. And sorry to those of you who are, which I suspect is all of you, or almost all of you, who are disappointed, to say the least, about the election result over there. There might be a few Republicans in our community, and that's it's a democracy. But I suspect, generally speaking, when you look at our demographics and when you look at the opinions that we express as presenters, you would assume that pretty much everyone is aligned with the way we feel. So probably not very happy about the election result. Very sorry to hear that, and I hope you all can get through the next 4 years as best as you can. But yeah, you got communities and things like that to hopefully keep your chin up where possible. So let's rally around each other. And hey, maybe head to different social media platforms if you've been hanging out on Twitter. Maybe go to a different one. That's not a bad thing. Pup George has resubscribed for 34 months, 3.4 years. That is how it works. That's so humbling. Loved you on the telly, Bob, as well. Felt a bit odd watching kids TV, but I rolled with it. Well, thanks for watching, Pup George, and thanks for subscribing. Jeff the Molly Goose with 100 bits. It's our tiny TV star. That's me. She's talking about me, the tiny TV star. We've got 65. Stephen subscribing 64 months in a row, 65 total. And saying 65 months with TripleJump, the Walrus Clan, getting very close to a very nice number of months subscribed. Hang on a minute, I've just lost my chat. There we go. To clarify, I watch Worst Games Ever on Patreon. Yeah, of course. I worked it out eventually. Congrats on being on CBC over the weekend. I'm sure it was a fabulous time. Lots of love to all of TripleJump. Indeed, you're absolutely right. And thanks for subscribing, Stephen. The Me Inside has subscribed on Prime for 5 months. Thank you for sticking with us. Being of a similar vintage to yourself and Ben, I haven't watched CBBC for about 20 years, but tuned in on Saturday. Next stop, Blue Peter. Congratulations. Oh, well, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. The Will of Phil resubscribed for 50 months. That's, what's that, half a year or something? Thank you, Will of Phil, for 50 months. And Please Stop resubscribe for 42 months, which is, of course, the answer to the life, universe, and everything in month form. I hope those of you who did tune into children's TV enjoyed yourselves, because there were, especially if you were a similar vintage to Ben and I, because for those of you who didn't notice, the puppet, Stanley, the monster, is his, let's maintain kayfabe here, I believe the industry term is friend of. So the friend of Stanley, Stanley's friend is Dave Chapman, who was also very good friends with the neighbour's cat on Dick and Dom. He was a friend of Otis the Aardvark. He's got loads of friends, Dave Chapman. He's a great guy, and everyone loves him seemingly. He has all these friends who coincidentally are made, all of them, out of felt and sponge. But yeah, Stanley's friend Dave Chapman wasn't around when we were there, so there were some segments where Stanley was having fun. There's a lot of magic of TV going on there, a bit of pre-recorded VT, so unfortunately, we never got to work with either Stanley or Stanley's friend Dave on the day, which was a real shame. Actually, because when we heard ahead of time that we might be able to go and meet Dave when we did the gig, we were very excited, and unfortunately, the way it fell, both Dave was on annual leave, and Stanley was always standing in a different corner of the studio. So that was a shame. But hey, maybe it's sometimes it's good not to meet your heroes. I can continue to just picture how it would be rather than it actually happening and then being over and then thinking, well, no, I may never do that again. So there's still a chance one day I might run into friend of many furry TV presenters, Dave Chapman. We'll see. So I think that's about it. I think we're all caught up. I've been reading so many alerts that I've not really been able to read the chat as I've been going. But Dr. Mundy saying I don't have a TV license, so I couldn't catch the show. And I know there are other people who are obviously in other parts of the world who were unable to watch. Obviously, I've seen people saying that there are methods whereby they were able to catch the show, and I can't endorse or encourage those methods, and that's where I'll leave it. I do not endorse or encourage alternate methods of attempting to watch the show, and I also don't actually know if they work. But hey, well, there we go. Shall we play some Nikoderiko? I always say Dorico, but it's actually DERICHO. Nikoderiko, DER. But that's what we'll do. I am going to start a new save file of this game. Right, here we go. Should be this screen. Yes, it is. And if I... There we go. I noticed Ben wore the succulent Chinese meal t-shirt I made him for the Tap Appeal last year. Oh, did he? Because he had a jacket on for most of it. I didn't even notice what shirt he was wearing, but he may well have been wearing that shirt. I didn't notice. I think I've been playing on normal on my my other save file. Playing exploration mode. Challenge yourself in most difficult levels. Yeah, all right, we'll do that. One player. This game's lovely. This is Nikoderiko, and we're going to learn all about Niko now. Soundtrack in this game is surprisingly good, considering... Oh, it's a little bit framey. I believe this is FMV. This is not being rendered in engine. This is just an MP4 that's playing back on the game. So there are moments in this game where you very much see the sort of the chinks in the armor, almost. I mean, not quite. That's a bit excessive, but you see that it's a bit more 1.5A or AA than AAA, which is, that's fine. It's no bad thing to not be a AAA game, but you spot the difference between this and, say, Crash Bandikong 4. It's about time, right? But firstly, it's still a great time, especially considering that it is a slightly smaller project. And secondly, although it is, that slightly smaller scale and smaller budget, the music that comes with it is amazing, because you would expect, that those things might roughly scale. You can only afford the budget to get a composer of a certain pedigree, but they've got a composer of a fantastic pedigree. The person who did the music for Donkey Kong Country. I think probably various other quite famous games. And this is very Donkey Kong Country inspired as well, as you'll see by the gameplay. It's a strong mixture of Donkey Kong Country and Crash Bandicoot. By strong, I mean it's very clearly inspired by that, which again is no bad thing. I'm glad there's no actual English in this cutscene, because I'm able to just talk over the top of it and do my little intro about the game without ruining what's going on for you. But there we go. These are the Cobroids. They're not called that, but they're called something like that. The Cob Vanths or something.
Hey, great flight.
We had a treasure,
I miss adventures
and the treasure has been taken.
Somehow I'm not having fun. Grimbold burned our ship and stole the relic. And it looks like he's taken over everything on this island. Have you seen his army?
Yeah, they're such blackheads.
I will say that
Where do you
Luna's
find
voice
them?
acting, I think, is great. Nico's
We've dealt
is a
with
little
worse.
bit...
We'll deal with this too.
I don't know, he kind of reminds me of that NPC Miles Morales or something. He just...
All the loot
I don't think he's not the best part of this game, unfortunately.
Back up there.
Although,
Sounds like a plan. Let the adventures begin.
you know, it's just a little bit forced. Fortunately, you'll notice in these first few levels that he's sort of talking as we go and essentially doing a tutorial. But then once we get further on, he's a little bit quieter, which is unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, it's a bit of a mercy. But so this game is 2-player co-op, I assume. I've not tried the multiplayer. I just saw that there's an option for 2-player at the start, and I guess you both just run around together. Don't really know, but hey, here we go. It's legally distinct. If only there was a guy in this room who is a voiceover actor for a video game. Hey, glass houses, right? I am in no position to start complaining about how good performances might be, all right? I'm not for 1 minute saying that, you don't have to be good at something to know when it's not perhaps been done very well. If I watch the Olympics and the hurdler hits every single hurdle, I'm able to say they're not a very good Olympic hurdler, even though I'm not an Olympic hurdler. And so if I think perhaps the voice acting here leaves a bit to be desired, that doesn't necessarily mean that I think I'm as good a voice actor as to be qualified to say how good the voice acting is in this game. But anyway, here we go. So we can slide. We've got all these things to collect. You can wall jump. I've still not really worked out what any of these items are. Oh, oops. Oh no, that's a good start. You collect these little flying things. They look like little bugs or something. I'm not really sure what they are. But you ground pound in front of these chests. I mean, that sound effect is very dopamine inducing, I find. You can break certain things like these bridges and things, but find little secret areas. Game's just hanging a little bit, which is a bit strange. Is it? I wonder whether it's a little bit choppy, which I don't remember experiencing in my living room. Oops. We'll see how it goes. It might just be sort of warming up a bit. I don't really know. But yeah, the sound of the little yellow things that you pick up is very Donkey Kong Country. So here, for example, is
A secret path.
a secret
This
path.
could be interesting.
Timmy Whiff has gifted a sub to Pizza Dragon 94. It's your 41st gift. Thank you very much, Timmy Whiff, for that, and welcome, Pizza Dragon. Ooh. No. What's this in the chat? Poor Billy. What about Billy? I'm missing the context of that. Why are we saying poor Billy? Oh, I forgot to ask, how is Billy Ray Walrus being replaced by Billy the Walrus? Yeah. I mean, again, this is all stuff it's probably... Well, you'll just have to, I guess, people who listen to all the stuff that Ben and I do, even if it's outside of TripleJump, you'll just have to hear some of this stuff twice. But to be fair to the BBC, they didn't tell us we don't want you to call him Billy Ray Walrus, right? So sorry, for context, we obviously referenced Billy to an extent. There was a photo, we gave out a signed photo of him. My wife made a special custom Billy Ray, really a one-of-a-kind piece. We've never, even on our own merch store, we've never sold Billies to people. Partly because we'd have to hand make them all, I guess, or find a. And we've done the little felt sort of like almost 2D ones, which are great. The little plushy Billies, but we've never done an official. We've never bought Beanie Babies, which is what they are, or what are they called? Not Jelly Cats. They're made by TY or whoever they're called, who do Beanie Babies, but it's a different line. But anyway, we've never got one of those exact Billies there and sold it on the store. So it was a one-of-a-kind item we had. We bought one of those, and then my wonderful wife made a special little denim sort of dungaree overalls thing for the Billy plushie to wear, because Stanley the monster, who is the little furry host of Saturday Mashup, wears little dungarees or overalls. So it was basically a Stanley themed Billy. But when we referenced Billy, both when he was shown in the signed photo and when I said, hey, you can win this custom item, he was referred to as Billy the Walrus. And that was because we didn't know how we felt about... If we just said he's called Billy Ray Walrus, that might have been fine, right? But if people had then wondered, why is he called Billy Ray Walrus? And we had to say on television, oh, well, it's because Ben said... Well, it's because I think both of us said, oh, Billy Ray Cyrus has a look about him that he's one day going to be involved in a scandal, and they've just not discovered what it is yet, right? That's the origins of it. And then Ben said, yep, he looks like he's going to go to the aquatic centre, steal a sea mammal, and call it Billy Ray Walrus. Those are the origins, if you didn't ever know where Billy came from. That's his name. And then Ben made a little plushy walrus on the next episode. So we thought, if we call him Billy Ray Walrus, are we going to have to say that? Oh, yeah, so we got mounts in this game. This is where the Donkey Kong Country really comes into its own. So we decided that we would just call him Billy the Walrus, or just Billy on the show. So he was referred to as Billy the Walrus at least twice, I think. I'm glad an actual child won the prizes. I was a bit concerned that a TripleJump fan might ring in and try and win them. There we go, that's the treasure, which is the big thing that we're looking for. Yeah, Billy Ray lore is difficult to explain. Billy Ray Lorus, I know. I mean, a lot of TripleJump lore is difficult to explain. So... the guy who was looking after us for most of the day on the show floor, because you have a kind of a dedicated... I don't want to say... He wasn't floor manager, he wasn't a runner. I don't know if he was perhaps a sort of a junior level producer, or I'm not quite sure what his job title was, unfortunately, but he was a lovely man. His name was Ben. He was brilliant. He was really good. And he said that someone he knows knew who TripleJump was. He was saying, because he tells this person, who the guests are going to be week on week, and they're usually like, oh, I'm not sure who that was, who that is. But yeah, he said there's a young person he knows who he said, oh yeah, you like games, don't you? Have you heard of TripleJump? They're coming on. And apparently they knew who we were. So shout out to that person who knows Ben, if you're watching. Ben from the BBC.
Wait, time's running out.
Good job I didn't enter the competition. If they'd phoned me, I'd have let it go to voicemail. Yeah, me too. I don't like to answer the phone. No, I do. I'm not as bad as... It's a bit of a thing, isn't it? Like, particularly with sort of Gen Y and Gen Z. And I'm not quite as bad as some people. Like, I think Ashton is quite phone averse. I think she said that before. Ben quite often, if he doesn't recognise a number, Ben, I think almost always will let it go to voicemail and then, or see if they ring back, whereas I'll sometimes pick up. And if it's someone I don't want to talk to, I'll say, no thank you, goodbye. In this game, lovely. Doing a tiny little bit of juddering is the only thing today, which... Oh, I'm going to miss... You can get up to 20 hits on this, but I'm going to... Oh, I nearly got it, actually. Yeah, a tiny bit of juddering, but I've not really experienced that when sitting downstairs at my sofa, so... I don't know. No, I'm not really sure what's going on. Am I... Is it... Oh, well, I am possibly... No, I'm not downloading any updates. I don't know what's going on, but... Honestly, it could just be my PS5. It's getting on a bit now. I imagine Dick Machinko was difficult to reference. Yeah, we didn't reference that either. We spoke to one of the producers ahead of time. Had a phone call with them, and they have to do a lot of research to know what to talk about, and it's not all just spoilers. It's not all just done on the fly. They have various bits of conversation and stuff planned out ahead of time, and in order to plan those things out, you have a little research call, which was lovely. And one of the things we talked about, we were sitting in the studio downstairs in the streaming setup. Oh, hang on, this is the actual way to go, isn't it? Could I have jumped over that pit first? We're sitting in the main joint stream setup, and so we had all the stuff behind us on the shelves. And I think she said to us, she could see on the video, she said, "Oh, and tell me about all those things. Are they things that have been sent to you?" And we sort of explained what the tap appeal was. And we said, yeah, and people send us all sorts of like custom plushies and things, which are normally a play on words. So we sort of like turned around and we're giving examples. We're like, so there's the Hot and Fresh Science Fox and we explained Hot and Fresh Science facts. And then as we sort of looked around the shelves for any more that we could say out loud, we were like, I mean, she was sound like she was an adult and was perfectly happy for us to talk freely and at will. We were all of us were laughing together about some of the things that we probably wouldn't be able to say on the show. So she wasn't being a prude about it. But we were sort of thinking, oh well, that one's not a good example, and that one, and that Scandal Penguin, I guess in and of himself is not too bad, but
ominous dark hole.
Brian Bumpiss, Brian Bumblepiss. Actually, no, that's also, you can't say piss, can you? I was going to say just the Bumble is fine, but no, he has piss in his name. So, we were sort of looking around the room going, yeah, so there's Hot and Fresh Science Fox and, Ashton Catthews. We always call her Catchton now, but it's Ashton Catthews, I think. We were like, there's one. As soon as we saw that one, we're like, yeah, and there's another one. That's one too. That one works. So... yeah, TripleJump is, at first I felt kind of a bit bad about it, like, or almost like a bit of a pretender, or I had kind of imposter syndrome, and I was thinking, are we right for this show? I want to be, But I don't want them to sort of later decide that we're not, or to to regret having us on. And I was thinking, is this right? Are we kid friendly? And I was kind of thinking, well, we know that we have some young people in our audience. We know that for sure. And then on top of that, when you think about people who you probably would say are, you could have on a kids show because they do have a large young audience. People like, say, the Acast. They have loads of kids watching them. Well, they're effing and jeffing all the time and saying. They probably censor themselves far less than we do. So then I kind of thought, no, you know what? Like, it's all about what you say, when and where. Pick your moment. So yeah, in the comfort of your own channel, it's up to parents to. To an extent, it's up to parents to make sure that their kids are watching things that are appropriate. So if we're on the internet and they're allowing their children to watch whatever they want, then that's up to them, really. If they're happy for that to happen, then that's fine. If they're not, then just need to be vigilant because there's a lot of stuff out on the internet. But then when we're in an environment where we know there are children watching and it's aimed at okay, those drop apparently. Then we'll behave ourselves, which is exactly what we did. So, then I kind of felt a bit better about it. And, I kind of said it to when our BBC Ben, as I've been calling him, as opposed to Ben Potter, when BBC Ben said that a young person he knows was aware of TripleJump, I sort of jokingly said, "Oh, well, that's good to hear," because we were kind of thinking, do young people know who we are? And he said, of course they do. Like, CBBC would not have you on if they didn't think that you weren't, worth having on. So that kind of made me feel a bit better. Oops. Oh, can I pull it back? No, I'm losing height. So these are little bonus areas, as you can tell. I'm not talking much about this game, am I? I'm just sort of playing it and then chatting away about things that have gone on. I've missed some alerts here because I've been gabbing. Hakuna Patata subscribed via Prime, just popping in to sub and say hi, see you at the VOD. Well, thank you, Hakuna Patata. Thanks for popping in and subscribing. I appreciate that because, if you're only watching on VODs, you don't necessarily need to be subscribed, but, it really does help us, people supporting us that way. Mills Derp, nearly at the weed number. Congrats for Saturday, Peter. You all did great. Thank you very much, Mills Derp. 67 months. Fantastic. Too many bends. You're right. Earlier in the chat, 3 people said, "What?" ? Exclamation mark. And I wasn't paying attention to exactly what that was. Probably some kind of big revelation like, oh, did you know that it's not all done on the fly? It was probably that. Stephen Skoda has also gifted a sub to D Lodge, taking Stephen up to 1312 gift subs in the channel. Next time Stephen gifts something, and there's no pressure to, he'll have hit the Star Wars 1313, which is very exciting. Boring Loner a while back said, I fast forwarded through most of the non-TJ stuff. It felt similar to when I walked through the park on my own, like I'm in danger of being put on some sort of list. Yeah. It's Steven goes, I did say there was no pressure, Stephen, but I appreciate it all the same. Steven Skodas has gifted a sub to Boring Loner, taking him up to Star Wars 1313 gift subs on the channel. That's a crazy amount, Stephen. 13 is unlucky for some, but not for us, because that's 2 13s in a row, and we're very grateful for that indeed. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah.
100 bits.
Had to get it to the Star Wars number for Tiny Peter.
Oh, well.
TTJ Dick salute.
I'm sure you'd have got it there eventually. I'm very grateful that you got it there today. Thank you very much indeed. And for the bits there. Oh, the slide. I forget that if you hold the sort of the butt bounce, the belly slam in this game is jump and square. X and square. Square being the attack button. But if you hold square in this game, then you do a slide, right? You do the skid. But if you hold square when you do a slam like that, then as you come out of the slam, he'll suddenly go into a forward slide, which is not good most of the time. It's usually not what you want to do. So you have to remember to let go of square when you do the slam. I think it's still good that they've included that you can slide immediately out of a slam, because there are going to be situations where you do want to be able to do that. But oops. Okay, well, that's fine. But yeah, hey, how about this? New little mascot platformer. Heavily inspired by, by some classics from sort of the peak of the genre. Crash Bandikoots, your Donkey Kongs. To a lesser extent, your Spyros and so on. Gex, whatever. Should I have brought that? Oh no, I can do that, can't I? Yeah, I forgot about that. See, that's a time where you do want to slam and then immediately slide, so that's handy. It is worth being able to do, but yeah, you have to pick your moments, otherwise you will just slam onto a platform and then immediately fall off. Oh, now this is really tricky. I remember trying to do this multiple times. I'm hanging out on here, and you can jump off of these big flat-headed birds and bounce on them. Oh, there we go. But they die instantly, so you only have one chance, and you don't get a huge bounce off them. So it is a bit tricky. But hey, I did it, and I'm proud of myself. Can't jump off that wall. Oops. Oh, I need to. Oh no! Oh no, I can't get these bits now. I mean, they won't affect my 100% completion of the level because they're just kind of inconsequential collectibles, but still a bit annoying. Oh! Nick Gage, 79, 49 months, that's almost 50. Over 4 years of streams. Thanks, Peter, and the rest of the crew. Well, thank you, Nick, for being with us for 4 years. It's one of the many names I recognise from long time, as they say. Don't know who says it, but I've decided that they say it. Ah yes, from long time. Oh no! I want every single... Ah yeah, see, that is something that happens. If you collect lots of little yellow bits in an area, sometimes it then causes a special item to appear. That's the treasure. Like these, for example. I suspect if I collect all of these, it's going to make a little thing appear. Maybe not, but yeah, there you go. Usually does. So that is why it's worth... I like that. It kind of rewards you for being thorough in collecting all the bits. Like in Crash Bandicoot, for example, all the loose Wumpa fruit that are hanging around. No real incentive to collect them other than the fact that when you get 100, you get a life. But you know, in this game, if you collect little groups, little clusters of them, then sometimes rewarded with an extra collectible. There's an item up there, on way up top. Can you see that? They're very just behind the donation link. I've forgotten how I get that. Maybe if I backtrack. I think I'm going to be able to do some sort of platforming overhead and come back.
What a cute dino!
What a cute dino! sure, actually. How do I do that? It's up on top of this arch. Maybe I do get sent all the way back here. I'm not really sure. We'll see. It's very when you like send projectiles like that. It's very Donkey Kong Country. Well, at least you managed to get on CBBC while it's still a linear TV channel, considering it's being turned into an iPlayer-only content hub next year. Is that happening next year? I mean, honestly, I can't say I'm surprised. You know, if you just... Unfortunately, if you think about the way that media is consumed more and more nowadays, particularly, I think, by younger people, it's hardly surprising. It's sad, it's a shame, but I guess you do have to move with the times, don't you? And, you know, here I am, a digital content creator. I'm the problem, really, aren't I? I'm, along with thousands, if not millions of other people, I have contributed to the development of this type of media.
So damn cool.
And the popularization of it.
So beautiful.
I mean, I've not got delusions of grandeur. I'm not saying it's because of me. The digital media is a big deal. But, you know, collectively... and, you know, you guys are the problem too, actually. We're all the problem together. Everyone who, in any way, has either enjoyed or created online video. Video killed the TV star. Never mind the radio star. Video killed the CBBC star. But you're right, Forgotten Media. It's good to have gotten on there while it's still a TV channel, for sure. It's the children who are wrong. Yeah, you're right.
Do my eyes deceive me? A pair of mongooses? My dear friends, welcome to the best shop on the island. Good old Rivar and his assistant Wing at your service. Wing, say hello to our visitors. He must be shy.
He says nothing, but I accidentally skipped it.
Manners. We seldom see any mongooses on this island.
It's actually mongoose.
Hey, Wing. Hello, Rivar. What do you have?
Everything adventurers like you could need. Potions, pets indispensable for traveling, and even real treasure maps. All under guarantee.
Some new equipment wouldn't hurt.
Mongooses.
Yeah, nor would a discount for
Indeed.
new friends.
You're right.
Clever lad.
Yeah, I forgot to mention these guys are mongooses, just like Jeff. I agree with you, Millsderv. It's nice to just put an actual TV on sometimes and just have stuff to scroll through. We only recently got our... Because we're in a new build house that came with... All the wiring was set up in the house, like down into the living room from the loft for an aerial cable. But the house didn't come with an aerial. So it wasn't fully set up for terrestrial TV. So you have to... If you want one, you have to pay someone to come and fit one, which is not expensive, but you just have to do it. And we've been here 2 years now, and only... About 4 weeks ago, we had someone finally come around and sort us out with an aerial, because we've been, we pay our TV license. I think it's important. I understand why some people choose not to, and perhaps they're not in favour of the way some of the money's spent. Some people are, and really want to protect that service, and others want to see sort of reform with it, and we all have our own opinions on that, but. We pay our TV license, but we used to just watch stuff on iPlayer and Channel 4, whatever Channel 4's one is called. I always say 4OD, but it's not been called that for ages. But yeah, we decided it is nice to be able to just flick the telly on. And especially I think when I have people around like my granddad, you know, he would quite happily, when we've had a long day, by which I mean we've been out from 11 till 2, and he's come home, all he is really going to want to do is sit down on the sofa and fall asleep with the football on. It doesn't matter who's playing, just find some football and he'll be a very happy man. And, you know, particularly for people like that, but for anyone really, and for us, it's nice to... Ooh, should I have glided all the way down there? Can I get that treasure? Sorry, the word is gliddened. Should I have gliddened down? Can I Skyrim my way up there? Oh, almost. So yeah, it's nice to have channels that you can just flick on, choose something rather than have to make your own mind. And I think it helps me watch stuff with more variety as well, because otherwise what I'll do is, like I've been doing recently, and you know, I've been enjoying it, but I kind of wish that, I don't know, I still sort of resent myself for doing it, is that I wanted to rewatch Blake 7, which is a 1970s British sci-fi show with like wobbly sets like classic Doctor Who, like really kind of, you know, they did the very best they could with the budget they had, that kind of sci-fi, and that's why I love it. You know, it's sort of the box of delights of sci-fi. It was probably in some ways quite cutting edge at the time, but you know, also actually very wonky and wobbly. Really charming for it. I've watched it all before, and I had a bit of a kind of a desire to watch some of it again. And I can't help myself. I watch these things from episode 1 onwards, and on a Tuesday night, I'm like, okay, I might watch an episode of something. Okay, well, I'll put on the next episode of Blake 7. And I might watch 2 if I've got the stamina for it. Wednesday night, I'm like, I fancy watching a bit of telly. And that means putting on the show I'm currently watching, which is Blake 7. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot more... are able to you know, convince yourself to watch other stuff at the same time. I should be able to do that, and it's not that I feel that I can't keep track of more than one show at once. You know, I used to do it all the time when terrestrial telly was all the rage. You know, you'd be watching all kinds of things that were on serially week on week. It's not tricky, but it's just a habit. You know, it's habitual. It's like, oh, what do I want to watch? Oh, well, I'm watching that at the moment, aren't I? Why don't I just... Ow. Why don't I just put more of that on? So I think I've got to time this just right, because I don't think these are perfectly synced. There we go. Blake 7 was created by Terry Nation, the Dalek creator. It was. Terry Nation, I'll tell you what, he did some really good stuff. He's, for the most part, quite a good writer. I mean, everyone's got their duds, haven't they? But I've got to do all that again now because I've died. There are definitely some episodes that are a bit off, but he's a good character writer, I think. Quite a good dialogue writer. I don't know. I'm not very good at critiquing this kind of stuff. I feel like I kind of just like everything unless I hate it, which is not the way you should be. So someone could probably come to me and say, what are you talking about? Terry Nation's good at dialogue. Have you heard episode 3 of series 4 of Doctor Who? Or whatever. But I like the characters that he wrote in Blake 7. I think they're cool. Right back where I was now. I've got 1 heart, and we've got all these spikies on the floor. Let's be careful of them. Oh! I panicked. I lived. Terry Nation's a good guy. Talking of Kids TV, if you're a fan of Taskmaster, please check out Junior Taskmaster, which started on Friday. It's an absolute delight, and the kids are brilliant in it. I thought it might be a bit twee, but it was so much fun, says Trillian Jones. I do like Taskmaster. Ashton loves Taskmaster. And they actually ran a little Junior Taskmaster BT on Saturday Mashup when we were on. It was they did a little cutaway, and they had a couple of the I think the two people, the equivalents of the Taskmaster hosts. They were sort of chatting to them about the show or something, but ow. I came across a show called Bruiser yesterday that I'd never heard of. It was produced around 2000 and was one of the early Mitchell Webb, Coleman, etc. sketch shows. Whilst it was a little dated once or twice, it was pretty fun. I've never heard of Bruiser. But I do like that era of sketch comedy where you do see all the same faces, don't you? I like there was a good one called Manstroke Woman, which had Nick Frost in it, and who else? Daisy Haggard, I think. I'm trying to picture who else was in there now. But yeah, it was quite a good cast of comedians. And Smack the Pony was a good one as well. No idea why it was called Smack the Pony. Sounds a bit... In fact, it probably is a bit something, but I'm not really sure what this TNT is for. I remember doing this earlier and... Oh, God! Don't think it's for that. Armstrong and Miller was good. I didn't notice it at the time, but YouTube has brought it to me. Oh, well, that's nice. I tell you what, that is a good thing, a good trend that has started to take off on YouTube, which is that a lot of... I don't know why I'm sliding into these boys head on, like I'm not gonna... Oh, that's annoying. Like I'm not just gonna die when they hit me in the face. A bit of a trend that seems to have taken off on YouTube is that the official rights holders for a lot of shows that have no real further commercial value are just uploading the official versions, and you can get the full series on YouTube, and they're just making money off the ad revenue, just in the most legit and legal way that you can actually watch it, which is nice. Because it means that shows that once upon a time were maybe on YouTube in, 360p, and they weren't supposed to be there, and you might bookmark them and then they would disappear. Now they're just actually on there legit, which is nice. I mean, it would be really nice if these things were available on physical media for people's collections, because if you do want to make money off a show that you own the rights to and is never going to be shown on telly again, why not release a Blu-ray box set? I mean, I guess there's an expense that goes into that, and you have to know there's enough demand for it. But God, I mean, you guys know me by now. There's all sorts of things that I would lap up if I could get them on physical. Namely, a lot of children's TV, to be honest, from my childhood. I mean, the stuff that is available that I haven't even got yet that I would like to get. I keep meaning to buy eventually a full set of The Animals of Farthing Wood, and then also made by the very same company. The following thing that they did was Noah's Island. Anyone remember Noah's Island? I believe in Europe it was marketed under Oiski Poiski, which was the catchphrase of not even the main character, but a secondary character, a little like Russian, I think he was Russian, a Russian shrew called Sasha used to say Oiski Poiski. And for some reason, the show was called Oiski Poiski. Lord Brotovich remembers it. Yeah, I think I watched it in Germany once when I was visiting the family, and that's why I know that it's called Oiski Poiski. Anyway, it was in the UK, and probably in places like Canada and stuff, it was called Noah's Island, because the polar bear... It was about a polar bear who was just hanging out in, the poles, the North Pole at some point, and this island floated past, which you saw in the opening credits that a meteor fell out of the sky into the sort of dormant caldera. Is that the correct word? Caldera of a volcano. Just an empty volcano cone with a hole in the top. Meteor fell in it and turned it into this little crater with a fireball in, and then the island broke off from the mainland and floated out into the sea. And then Noah, the polar bear, found it floating in the ocean, and he went onto it, and it became his little floating island, and he was able to control the way it flowed by opening this little stone valve and letting some of the molten rock or something from the fireball, he called it, flow into the sea, and then steam would be created, and that would push the island from one place to another. I don't know how the fireball stayed hot forever inside the island, but it did. And anyway, then the opening credits also showed that a cargo ship carrying a whole circus or zoo of wild animals sank, and they all swam to the surface, and Noah's Island was just coming past. So basically it was this island with a whole load of animals. They could all talk to each other, of course. They all lived on there, and it was a whole mixture of ones from different habitats, which you normally wouldn't be able to have in a show like that unless they were in a zoo or something. If you wanted it to be accurate, you couldn't have a kangaroo hanging out with a gorilla, but there was a kangaroo and a gorilla in Noah's Island. And they were basically trying to take the island to Diamantina, which was this sort of wonderful place where they could all settle down and have a lovely life. It's very much like the animals of Farthing Wood, really. They were heading to White Deer Park. It's kind of just the same thing, but on a kind of oceanic scale. Anyway, that's I probably talked for a good 5 minutes there about the premise of Noah's Island. And that is the kind of thing that I think is officially uploaded to YouTube. Maybe it isn't, and someone has just managed to get hold of raw material. But it's that's the sort of show that you do now see just sort of cropping up on YouTube, and you can watch the whole thing legit, which is nice. But hey, please make even just a DVD box set. I know no one makes DVDs anymore, but if it's cheaper for you to do that than Blu-ray, I would still buy the crap out of that. Just me, but I'm Fan Drew, hello. Thank you for subscribing for 66 months. Some kind of div has arrived. Thank you very much. No, some kind of div hasn't arrived. Some kind of div said hello to Batman Fan Drew, and Batman Fan Drew said hey div. I just saw the words hey div and assumed some kind of div had arrived. I was wrong. My Drew is here. Oh no! Okay, I've got to be careful here. I've got to do this right. No, that's not right. How do I? Can I get up there? It doesn't matter a huge amount, but oh no! That was a really bad move, because now I've got to do all this again. Sorry, everyone. Would you like to hear any more about Noah's Island? I'm joking. I'm not going to tell you more about Noah's Island. One of the many things I love about a TP stream, the nostalgia trip this 36-year-old gets taken on. That's Primeval saying that they're a 36-year-old. I may have to spend some time browsing YouTube for 90s Kids TV. it's, unashamed children's TV enjoyment. I don't care. There are people in the world who would feel like, even with the qualifier of it's the nostalgia. It's the nostalgia. They would still feel silly admitting to the fact that they want a box set of Noah's Island. I don't feel silly. I feel angry that I don't have it. That's all I feel. Livid. I've spelled Nick. If anyone wants a really good recommendation for something that I think still at the moment is all available, not officially, it's a VHS rip on YouTube from CBBC from the 1990s. Something that, I tell you, when I rewatched it, and I did watch the whole 2 series, when I rewatched it, I was very pleasantly surprised by how fun it was. I mean, I'm not saying it's like genuinely a show that like actively appeals to adults, because there are some shows out there that like they're quote unquote made for kids, but are honestly like good for everyone. Like something like Star Wars Rebels or something is, I think, kind of for everyone. So it is a kids show I'm talking about, but I was pleasantly surprised. Is Aquila. Look, I didn't get any of the keys or treasure for that. I didn't get any of it. Aquila, which is Latin for eagle, and it was this really cool kind of ancient aliens story. It was about these boys who were on holiday, 2 friends and their 2 mums who are both single, I think.
Interrupt the deep meditation of the great elder Orleus. Leave your offerings and run before my magic hits you like a storm.
Bernard's Watch also great, Timmy Whiff, of course.
A real wizard?
Oh, come on.
But arguably,
staff don't make you magical.
Yes, young
wait for this
lady,
dialogue
the
first, but I've got a
trappings of
comment
wizard
about Bernard's
are
Watch.
Wisdom, the knowledge of ancient mysteries, and a magnificent sense of style.
Well, there's clearly no sense of style here.
Orleus, turn her into a frog.
My spells are too powerful to use for
Aquila wasn't Australian. I'll
So why
I'll let you know in a minute when this owl stops speaking.
Mage meditating in the bushes.
Misfortune has come to our island. Grimbold, the coal-bring baron, has forced the peaceful owls to work in the mines.
The mines!
Now there is no one to grow the crops and bring offerings to a wise elder. But you're here just as I predicted, which means there's a glimmer of hope. With my
A glimmer of hope.
you can banish the Baron and his minions. Well, there's no time to chat. Onward, brave squirrels!
Mongooses.
Squirrels? We're mongooses.
Silence! It matters
They've missed
not.
a uppercase
What's
I there.
important is that we're on the same side.
Bad game, 1 out of 10.
Farewell, adventurers.
Oh, whoops, I skipped. Bernard's Watch, I think probably is. I can't confirm this because I haven't been back to watch it, but I feel like it's probably the kind of show where everyone remembers it really fondly. But if you went back to watch it now, I'm not saying that you would watch it and think, why did I ever like this? But I think you would go back and watch it and think, okay, this is good for kids, and I can see why I loved it, but it's not for me now. Whereas some shows, I think, do still kind of stand up. Someone just said Maid Marian, and yeah, some kind of did. Maid Marian and Her Merry Men is the best example of a kids show, which is true. That was it written by Tony Robinson? I know he was in it, but yeah, I think there's some like interesting humor and stuff in there that, I mean, again, I've not actually rewatched it, but it is, I think it's available on ITVX. It was definitely on BritBox before BritBox, like, weirdly was absorbed by ITV Player, ITVX. Maid Marian and Merry Men, yeah, it's good stuff. But Aquila was about these 2 boys who were on holiday with their mums. and they tumble into like I can't remember what. I think like an Iron Age. No, I think it had a Roman in it, so it must have been post-Roman Britain, like an earthwork. No, I missed some bits. They fall into this British like tomb, Roman tomb in Britain. And there's a dead centurion in it, and then also a spaceship, like a little one. It's like the size of a smart car or something, you know. It's like smaller than a Fiat 500. And it's about just these kids who have this spaceship, and they get into various hijinks. They have to kind of keep it hidden, and sometimes it's hidden in plain sight. Like they keep it in their garage or in their garden, and their mums think it's just a film prop that they were able to get from this film. Oh, there we go. From a filming location where they were like closing down and getting rid of their props, and they just like gave it to these kids. But there's 2 series of it. It's surprisingly well acted, well written, and yeah, it's really good. And it's all available on YouTube. And there's you know, it's not the best quality because it is just from VHS that someone's ripped, but oh, actually I can do a little pirouette. I've just remembered that. Oh, close, but I didn't get the little. Oh, I can get them. Oof, I just got it in time. I forgot I could do my little speed boost. But yeah, Aquila is really good. So it's like this ancient aliens kind of vibe, where this Roman centurion had ended up with a spaceship that aliens had dropped off, and it has all this technology they can use. It's got like a laser on the back, and it can translate any language, but they don't quite know how to use it. You know, there's no manual for it, so they kind of end up getting in trouble. At one point, it's like proper like kids stuff as well. Like if you put kids, give them a spaceship, the kind of problems that children would have with it, rather than, you know, any kind of super high stakes stuff. Like at one point, they fly it to school. They can turn it invisible, right? And they fly it to school one day and leave it on top of. They don't want it lying around on the floor because someone will walk into it. So they park it on top of like the shed where all the football stuff is kept. So it's on top, invisible, so no one will see it and no one will go up there. But earlier in the episode, they foreshadow they're sitting in the garage, just in the ship, just having a chat, and one of them's like, "Hang on, are we moving? We're moving forwards, like really slowly." And the other kid's like, "Oh yeah, hang on." And he's like, "I got like some fruit pastel stuck in the forwards button the other day," and he like pulls it out, and he's like, "Okay, no, that's fine." They stop moving. They're like, "Okay," and it just seems like a bit of a throwaway moment. But then obviously they then leave the spaceship invisible at school on top of the shed, and during the day it drifts forward and flies away, and they have to find it and work out, you know, where it's gone or what's happened. So, you know, it's that kind of thing. Give some children a spaceship, what's going to happen? They'll get fruit pastel stuck in the controls, and it will slowly drift away because they've not parked it properly. Those are the kind of stakes we're dealing with. It's basically just them having fun with it, and also, you know, doing their utmost to make sure it doesn't get discovered. And it's all there on YouTube. It's right there at your fingertips. Future episodes of the Triple Jump Video Games Podcast will be living here. triplej.up/podcast. Subscribe now so you don't miss out. Thanks, Streamlabs. Yeah, the first episode of that went out on the weekend on the new podcast channel. So do not miss that. If you're a fan of the podcast and you're wondering where your podcast has gone, it's still happening. It's just elsewhere on YouTube. If you tend to just listen in audio form, nothing has changed for you. It will be exactly where it was for you on Spotify or wherever it is that you listen. So that's fine. You know what? In this game, I don't hate the water levels. I like the fact that I can move in any direction at any time. I like the fact that I've got a... Oh, there we go. I've got a good boost. I don't have to worry about my breath running out. It's good. As water levels go, they do a decent enough job here. I attempted to rewatch Round the Twist, and it's way more surreal and disconcerting than I remembered. That is very much a show where it's like they could not do some of those stories on kids' TV anymore. They were based on books by Paul Jennings, I think. I used to read some of those at school, and I mean, some of those stories are mental. And you know, sort of aimed at kids, or I think potentially aimed at teens, but then the show was aimed at all kids, and they could have. So he used to write kind of compilation short story anthologies, right? So in each of his books there'd be, you know, 6 stories or 8 stories or something. So they had, you know, a huge number of stories to choose from eventually after he'd done several books. So they had the pick of the litter, right? They could have picked any of them. I mean, they had to choose a lot of them because they made a lot of episodes, but they specifically chose, for example, the episode where the boy Bronson, eats. I think he eats it or swallows a whirling fish, like whirling dervish, but it's a fish, right?
Yeah.
Happy 420 BBB.
Some of you know where I'm going with this.
Lord 16 Dab. Well, since we have a tiny TV star among us now, here are some television jokes. Why don't salmon watch cable television?
It's a very TV-heavy
They
episode.
prefer streams. Ha ha ha. Which is the bee's favorite TV channel? The BBC Hi. What kind of television
What?
do you find inside a haunted
BBC?
house? A widescreen TV. Ho ho ho. What do you call someone who spoils
see.
TV shows? A serial killer. Ha ooh ooh. What shows do ducks watch on television documentaries? Hi hoo. Mog.
Yeah.
What?
1.
Mock. That was great. I kind of want to hear her say that again, but I'll have to repeat the entire alert. Maybe after we're done blazing it. I'll just finish what I was saying about Round the Twist, otherwise I'll forget.
Yeah.
BBBBBB mongoose BBBBBBBBC
BBBBBCBBCBBBB
mongoose BBBBBB Saturday morning mongoose blaze it.
Indeed. Wait, what? What was I saying? So he swallows this fish, right? I'm going to switch back to face cam, and I'm going to like place my mouse over here. No, hang on. How am I going to do something to remind? I'm going to place my controller somewhere weird. So I'm like, why is my controller there? And that will remind me to change back from face cam. So he eats this fish, or swallows it, called a whirling fish, right? And it has this very strange effect on him. And I think he discovers it first, and then his siblings walk in on him in the bath, right? So he's lying in the bath with, you know, absolutely, it's brimming with suds, with bubbles. And he says to his older brother and sister, he's like, oh my god, look, I swallowed this fish, look. And there's like ripples like going crazy down around his waist. This is a children's, all I'm doing is describing a children's TV show that went out on the ABC in Australia and the BBC in the UK and potentially in Canada and wherever else it was syndicated. And they're like looking and they're like, oh my god, Bronson, you've got a whirly willy. And it's based on, as I say, based on a book. He has this fish and it makes his penis rotate around like a propeller, right? And I think in this book and or in the TV episode, he uses it to win a swimming competition because it's like an outboard motor, right? And then eventually he spits the fish out or something. I don't know. That is a real television episode that went out on children's TV. So when I say that Round the Twist would not happen today, I mean it. And that's just one example of unbelievable stuff that they put in that show. So, you know, there's a bit of information for you for those of you who didn't know. And that is one of those shows, actually, I think is all officially on YouTube. So you can go and watch Round the Twist on the official Round the Twist YouTube channel. So if you want to go and see some really strange... There was one as well where I suspect they wouldn't make an episode like this on TV anymore, or if they did, they would like go in a much different direction with it, where the older brother, who was called Pete, by the way, he goes for a piss on a tree, right? He gets caught short, and he goes round, and he's standing at the tree, and he has a wee. And there's like a dryad in the tree, like a tree spirit. And because he weed on the tree, and she appears, and she's very, I think, she's very pretty. He's like, oh my god, who's this like wonderful girl who's appeared? And she seems really into him. She's like, she really fancies him. And he's like, oh my god, my lucky day, this girl really likes me. She's like, oh yeah, I'm the spirit of the tree. And just so you know, because you've like weed on my tree, we're now married in the tree spirit world. And we're going to have a baby together. And he's like, what? And it turns out that not only is that how it works, and they have now conceived a child, but he is pregnant with the child, right? And as the episode goes on, he gains like a full pregnancy bump, and he has to give birth to the child out of his mouth, right? And that is the climax of the episode, is that like, I don't remember how they depict it, but basically he sort of goes like, ugh, and this little like green baby comes out. And this all happened on the BBC and in Australia on children's telly. Insane. How did this not end up on the Halloween watch-along, says D-Lodge? Well, it did 2 years ago. That was the one with the creepy scarecrow clown. Do you remember that? Where the girl was dressed as a clown and the scarecrow was dressed as a clown because they'd found this like haunted circus trunk with a load of circus outfits in it from like some dead circus people, and everyone in the family put a different outfit on, and they suddenly gained like the ability to do acrobatics or something. And she got a clown one, and she was doing clown tricks, and they then also put an outfit on the scarecrow, and that also came alive and was a clown. And the two clowns in the circus who were dead had been in love with each other, and so the scarecrow clown was pursuing the girl because he thought she was his clown wife. You know, it was all like that. So that was on Halloween watch along. So there you go. That's Round the Twist. You can watch all of that if you like on YouTube. Exhausting. Anyway, I'd like to thank everyone for BBB blazing it there. Thank you, Lord Brotovich, for 100 bits. People watching the VODs will be like, get to the point. I mean, they'll be skipping through back to the gameplay. You guys watching live have to listen to all this. Thanks for the bits to Lord Brotovich, and to Stephen Skodes for blazing it, and to Matt Jadith Evans, who, let's not... Oops, I just closed the tab that I was trying to open there. Let's not miss the fact that we had this little alert.
Yeah.
1.
Good Lord. I assume that means next week is the week. What will it be? What is it? It's been a long time coming. Matt Jadith Evans, do you know what number it was when he started counting? Spooky stuff. Spooky stuff. I'm here for the yapping, says Lord Brotovich. Well, that's good to know. Dan Lockie, thank you for subscribing for 41 months on a 31-month streak. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I think I started on 38, says Matt Jadith Evans. Crikey. Hey, look at this, guys. Because I've been on the BBC now, I'm a professional, and I've remembered to do that. Oh, but I didn't disable this when we came away from it. So, there's always something. It's never quite as smooth and professional as you want it to be, is it? Never mind. Anyway. Oh, Nikoderiko has been drowning this whole time. Been holding his breath. Anyway, the long and short of it is, Round the Twist was flipping mental. but kind of great, you know. I've never heard of anyone saying that, like, they actually found Round the Twist actively traumatic or triggering. It's not to say that therefore no one ever did. I'm sure there probably almost anything in the world, there's going to be someone out there who found it in some way disturbing or upsetting because of maybe their own life experiences or something. But what I'm saying is, what was it such a terrible thing that, I mean, I'm not saying what we need more of nowadays is stories about boys getting pregnant. You know, well, when I say boys, I mean people who were assigned male at birth and identify as male continually, and have no desire to get pregnant. That's where it's problematic. Obviously, boys can be pregnant, but steady. Yeah, I'm not saying we need more of that. We need more. We need more stories where one of the lines of dialogue is, "You've got a whirly willy," but equally, I think there's a middle ground, you know. And maybe things aren't all as bad as I'm saying they are. I mean, yeah, that show maybe specifically would not be made nowadays. But that's not to say that there aren't things that are still being made today that are a little bit like, oh, careful now, little bit rude, bit of toilet humor there, a bit lavatorial. Yeah, I'm sure that kind of thing is still happening. Oh God. No. Okay. Boom. Bam 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 bam. I panicked. Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids was the show that freaked me out as a kid. See, I wish I'd watched that. And I don't know why I didn't, because I used to watch some CITV, which I think is where that was shown, rather than CBBC. You know, I really liked Zap, that was CITV. I obviously really liked Art Attack, which was CITV. So it's not like I wasn't a CITV kid as well as CBBC. But people talk about Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids, and I never really had the pleasure of watching that. And it seems like, but that was the exit. Did I make it? Oh my God, I didn't. I walked past the sign. Anyway, we're right by the end, fortunately. We're pretty close. But yeah, when I talk about, you know, this kind of stuff, that always comes up, Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids. It seems like the kind of thing that I would know about. Well, I do know about it, but, you know, that I would remember having watched and that would appeal to me. And so people are like, remember that one, Peter? Just expecting me to say, oh yeah, classic. But for some reason, it wasn't really on my radar as a child. I mean, I appreciate it now very much as an adult, purely for its title sequence. And actually, as an adult, when I heard people talking about it, saying, oh, what about this show? Did you watch this? And I used to think, oh, no, I didn't, but maybe I'll check it out. When I pulled up an episode and started watching it, I was like, hell yeah, is this an entirely stop motion, like claymation, spooky children's television program? How did I not watch this? And how have I not watched this sooner? But it turns out that it's actually only the title sequence that's claymation, and the rest of it is, I think, traditional animation, which is also, you know, that's fine. But yeah, man, that would have been great if it was all done in claymation. That would have been wonderful. Kid characters died almost every episode or had fates worse than death. I should definitely check that out at some point. I like how that's the thing that has got me like more interested in it now. I'm like, oh, kids dying or having fates worse than death in horror fiction. Oh, hell yeah. I'm all about it. So, yeah, people do talk about that show, and I should watch it, I think. I do remember... Oh, yikes. I do remember a show that was called something like... I don't know what order it was in. Something like Wolves, Witches and Giants. And it was actually... Not that I really realised at the time, because I didn't really know who he was, but it was voiced by Spike Milligan. And it was about... It was basically... It was set in a kind of a fairy tale world. And I don't know if they ever told the traditional fairy tale stories like Jack and the Beanstalk or Little Red Riding Hood. I think maybe they did, but then it also had their own ones as well. But it was basically, you know, there are at least a couple of stories that have a wolf in them. Three Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood. Or lots of stories with witches in them. Or, you know, hags or whatever, like Hansel and Gretel and Sleeping Beauty. There are various giant stories out there. So I think they picked those three, Wolves, Witches and Giants, and used that as the vehicle to tell some animated fairy tales. And I remember that. That was good. I remember one kid being fed so much he exploded and then was made into chicken nuggets that were served as school dinners. Another one had a kid trapped in the drawings on his bedroom wall. Then his parents washed it off and trapped him there. Oh my god. Grizzly Tales would go really well for a Halloween watch-along. Yeah, it sounds like it. Jeez. Right, we're on our first boss fight now. Who, frankly, he doesn't look like such a bad guy. Check this guy out. Look. I thought this cutscene was going to go, like, he's there building his little bridge. And then, you know, this guy's going to come and ruin his day. And this guy's going to be the boss or something. But no, look. We basically get stitched up. His dam gets blown up. And the cute little happy beaver is now pissed off with us. So we have to fight him. He now looks slightly more intimidating, but, you know, he's a pretty happy looking fellow for the most part. Anyway, it's not a tricky boss fight, largely. Just have to dodge the waves like that and the enemies. And then the whole time you can be shooting at him, which I'm not doing right now, but... Oh. Fortunately, your frog is locked on, so it's always facing forwards, which is nice. So even when you press left or right, he'll strafe, which normally you don't do when you're walking through a traditional 3D third-person over-the-shoulder level. Oh, spikies. Spiky. Oh. Okay, got him. One ending was a girl getting her face swapped with the gnarled, warty one of a witch. She may have wished to be better looking. Oh dear. Deary me. Sounds terrifying, this show. Very grisly. I liked, I was, you know, when I was... Hello. Before we went on Saturday Mashup, I wanted to kind of go in prepared and to kind of know what to expect from the show. So I watched a couple of episodes, and while navigating through BBC iPlayer and the CBBC section, I saw some kind of IP that I was familiar with. Is IP the right term? I suppose it is. I saw some brands or some shows that I thought, oh, that's kind of still going in some new way. And a show I really loved as a kid. It was a cartoon when I was a child, but I believe officially it was called Dennis and Gnasher. It was Dennis the Menace, basically. The UK Dennis the Menace, which is actually completely different, like genuinely different to the American one. I think two comic book writers or creators basically came up with the same pun, and they both designed a character called Dennis the Menace. Oops. But they were totally unrelated to each other, which is why when they made the movie about the American Dennis the Menace with Mr. Wilson, it was marketed in the UK as just Dennis. Because we have the Beano character, Dennis the Menace, rather than the whatever the US one was. Got the theme tune in my head right now, says Forgot Media. It was a great theme. But yeah, I loved cartoon Dennis the Menace when I was a kid. It kind of like really walked a line between, like, sometimes he'd just be dealing with stuff that was going on in Beano Town, which was alright. It was always a little bit I actively just slipped off there. It was always dealing with stuff going on that was a bit silly, and he was surrounded by farcical characters, but sometimes it would just be that he was in trouble at school, or he had to get his revenge on Walter and like come up with a good prank or something. And then sometimes just an actual kind of fantasy scenario would happen, where there was one time, one of my favorite ones was he lost a tooth. And so his mum told him to leave it for the Tooth Fairy, and I think not paying attention here. He didn't want the Tooth Fairy to take his tooth. So he stayed up, and he was trying to stop the Tooth Fairy from taking it, and he goes under his duvet, and he's looking around with a torch in the kind of the tented sheet over his head, and he kind of gets lost in there, and he's like, oh, hang on, which way's the head end? And and then he's just in this system of duvet caves, and he goes through it, and then when he comes out, he's in Tooth Fairy land, and all the hills are made of beds, and all the there are little pillow sheep everywhere or whatever, and oh my god, I'm having a mare here. And there's a sort of Tooth Fairy flying squadron who come in kind of military aeroplane formation, and he has to kind of, I think there are some bad creatures as well, like goblins or something like that. There was one where the dinner ladies were making something to kind of make all the kids boring or kind of compliant or something. There was an evil barber who was trying to shave every kid in Beano Town. There was one where there was a supposed rat infestation in their house or in the town, and this exterminator came and told them, oh yeah, you've got a super rat in your house. But it turned out that he was a rat in a zipped up human skin. I don't really remember exactly what the plot was. It was a bit like Roald Dahl's story about the rat man, who is clearly a rat himself, or rat-like. Has these strange qualities about him. This is where the Donkey Kong comes out again. Get your Donkey Kongs out for the lads. Checkpoint, thank God. Love this game, says Switch Nexus. It's good, isn't it? It's nice. It's just a lovely little bit of mascot platforming. And, what better kind of game to play when we're talking about 1990s children's television? Anyway, I got onto that. Ooh, you got me. I got onto that because I was saying I was scrolling through iPlayer when I was trying to find Mashup, and they've got they've still got Dennis the Menace now, and it's CG, as so many shows have become now. Like I don't even know if it's still on, but I think Fireman Sam for a while was CG, and Postman Pat. Definitely happened to Thomas the Tank Engine, I think, some time ago. Which, again, you have to move with the times. It is sad to see, particularly when things were actually done with practical effects, practical animation. So things like Fireman Sam and Postman Pat, I think had. Oh no, this is bad. No. Oh, hang on. If I die, yeah, that's fine, because I can't backtrack now to go into that bonus area. Yeah, Postman Pat and Fireman Sam were done by... Were they both done by Cosgrove Hall? Maybe they weren't both done, but, it was that kind of thing. Where they did some really nice stop-motion animation. And I think it is a shame that that's kind of not really the way things are done anymore, because I think having that physical, almost like tactile aspect to the stop motion, I think it adds a coziness to children's TV. It's like the stop motion Wind in the Willows that probably everyone has at least seen a clip of. If you didn't actually, no, let's not do that. Even if you didn't watch it at the time, you've probably seen little bits. I mean, I've shown it on one of my streams before. I think there's something really nice about stop-motion kids' TV. Yeah, and they still show Pokemon, for example, Forgotten Media. You're right, they run that on Saturday Mashup as one of the cartoons. So, yeah, that was the point I was, in a very long-winded way, I was trying to make, which is that, a good idea is a good idea forever, to quote David Brent. Oops. You could fall off that other side. But yeah, you've got Dennis the Menace, you've got Pokemon. Oh no, that's it. We're done for. And there's other stuff too. There are still spin-offs of Tracy Beaker happening. It's just called The Dumping Ground now, because obviously Tracy is no longer a child. I think she became a care worker, actually, and she had a child herself who, I don't know if her child ended up in foster care, or I'm not sure, actually, how her child, fit into the story. No, stop doing that. Or maybe the show where she had a child, maybe that show wasn't to do with foster care. It was about, how Tracy herself handled life as a parent. I think that was it. I think she was a single mum. So although I don't think the kid ended up in foster care, I think it was about, the difficulties that some or all, perhaps, single parents face, when they're kind of trying to go out and make money for the household, and they've got kids to look after, and it's a tricky time, for sure. There we go. There's the key. I'm old enough to remember the fuzzy felt version of the Moomins, says Trillian Jones. Yeah. Oh, I think the Wombles as well. I think if it's not still on now, I think there was a recent-ish Wombles, which again was classically done with sort of practical animation, but I am almost certain that the newer version was done with I kind of want to. Can I die? No. Please die. Okay. I missed the treasure. Can't be missing the treasure. Oh no, but have I got to get this key again? Oh, maybe I do. Well, I'll have one more go at getting the key. And then if I need to backtrack, if I miss the treasure again, I'm not getting this key every single time. Treasure's more important. So yeah, a lot of stuff comes around. I think Danger Mouse is still on as well. I'm sure I've seen that talked about. just online somewhere at one point. Someone earlier, I think, was asking about Batfink in the comments, in the chat. I mean, Batfink, what a... when I used to see Batfink on, it was a really old show even then. Batfink's from, like... what, the 80s at the latest? Maybe, I would maybe even put it at the 70s. I don't really know, but they used to still show reruns of it when I was a kid. Normally as like a... used to put it on very early in the morning before I went to school, and I think possibly it had a run as one of the cartoons on Dick and Dom, on one of their series. Because, you know, they would have... oh, there we go. They would have different cartoons on depending on the season. And I think Batfink was one of them, temporarily. Anyone in the chat? No. Oh, come on! That was an unintentional death. Right, well, I'm not going for that key anymore. I'm going to try and just get the treasure. Oh, you know what? I am. Can't help myself, because there's also a K up here, so it's like kind of in my interest to come and get all this stuff. Not that you need it. And there's a heart as well, which is probably, you know, not to be sniffed at. So on balance, it's probably worth doing. Spider in the Bath is an underrated classic, says Biggest Gobbo. You're right. Which I think in some countries was just actually called, officially it was just called Spider, but most people know it as Spider in the Bath. I think in the UK actually it was just called Spider, officially. But yeah, everyone just called it Spider in the Bath. I might be wrong. Did you try and pitch any shows to BBC people while you were there? See if you can get Rules Boss main menu or prove it on the iPlayer. Oh my god. The dream. I'd love to have an official BBC show on iPlayer, but somehow I don't think existing TripleJump formats are what they're looking for. Hey, maybe one day. Maybe one day they'll commission something from us brand new rather than just prove it. Or, I mean, to be honest, the thing about prove it is that the major issue we had with it was just kind of budget and sort of having the right contacts and having the resources to come up with some really good games in real life challenges. You know, we always had to do everything on a budget, both at Vidiots and at TripleJump. So hypothetically, if we had a big budget behind us, we could do some great stuff. I mean, it's not actually a super original idea, just games in real life, is it? If you think about it like that, like lots of people have done it to varying degrees of success and with varying degrees of quality and with varying budget sizes on YouTube. But you know,
your plan sounds risky and dangerous. I like it.
Studio was in Scotland, wasn't it? Did you all go up on Friday, or did you have to get up super early? No, we went up on Friday and had to get up super early because the show started at 9 a.m. So we were in a hotel just almost round the corner from, well, it was a taxi ride away, so it wasn't round the corner, but 5-10 minutes drive away from the studio. And yeah, we went up on the Friday night, stayed in the hotel, and oh, this is where the real Crash 4 begins. I mean, this is very, very like first chase level in Crash 4, down to the sort of glowing light that is following this creature. You know, in a couple of places, this game is probably just slightly too inspired by, you know, I'm not saying it's plagiarism because they're not. It's not plagiarism. It is just homage or inspiration, but I guess just not original enough. You know, even down to like there's an exact hazard like that in Crash 4 where you hit the thing and it doesn't kill you, but it slows you down, which might then allow the monster to get you. So it's not ideal, but. Oh my god, Harry Potter PS1 running away from Troll or Yorkshire Cupids. Forgot about the Yorkshire Cupids, they were weird. Yeah, so, I mean, depending on how long we each wanted to get ready in the morning. Oh, yeah, this bit. Oh, this took me a few tries when I was playing it before. It's fun, though. See, this is where the originality comes in. I've never played a Crash Bandicoot level where you're doing it. I don't remember playing a Crash Bandicoot level where you're doing a chase sideways like this, and you've got kind of the copter mechanics going on here. You see where I'm just sort of tapping X, you know, almost a bit Flappy Bird-esque, to kind of maintain my height. I like this. So that I'm then in no way lacking originality overall in this game. It's just there are places where it feels a bit like, oh, okay, this is just, yeah, this is definitely this exact specific level I can name from this other mascot platformer game. But yes, as I was saying, I mean, I didn't sleep very well the night before anyway, because I was just really excited. So I slept, in fact, very badly the night before. Well, badly implies that I would have preferred to have been asleep, but, you know, I wasn't, like, lying there pissed off. But, yeah, I didn't get an awful lot of sleep the night before, and what sleep I did get was a bit disturbed. So I think I woke up, like, well, long before 5 o'clock. And we had to be out the front of the hotel ready to go at 10 to 6. So, yeah, I think the three of us got up any time sort of between 5:30 and... No, sorry, 10 to 7. 10 to 7. 6:50. So we were all up between kind of 6 and 6:30, I think. Or, sorry, 5:30 and 6. And then drove around and had a little chat with the Mallory Towers cast in the car on the way. We didn't know whether they were going to be in the same hotel as us or not, but they were. They just sort of appeared in the morning when we were waiting for the car. Well, in fact, no, we were in the car, and then they came and hopped in. But they were really nice.
Luck is clearly on my side.
If you mean this dusty chest, I wouldn't be in a hurry
And actually,
to touch it.
that's the perfect moment for me to
What if it's a treasure? I'm opening it.
show you the clip I wanted to maybe show you.
Sleeping, losing eyes against sweat from working hard.
I'm going to skip this because that conversation is inconsequential. I was like, oh, who's this? Like, is this a baddie who's gone good? Or, like, what's going on? He's, like, hiding in a chest. And, like, nothing seems to really come of it in this level. There's, like, several of the snake men in chest enemies in this upcoming level, but we've seen them before. So, yeah. Yeah, your new famous friends. Indeed, far more talented than us as well. Right, so we'll leave it there with Nikoderiko right now, but for those who didn't catch the show on the day, and even for those who did, because you might find this slightly interesting, I am now going to show a tiny, very tiny little bit of the show. So that's it. Cheetah Austin strikes again. Well, so there you go. Oh yeah, I mean, those presenters were working hard to maintain that energy for 2.5 hours as Forgotten Media. Yeah, I mean, insane. Those guys did so well. But yeah, there we go. I hope you all enjoyed today's stream. And I hope you have a good remainder of your week. I will, of course, catch you live on Thursday for the joint stream, Blazer. But that'll be about it, I think. So enjoy your evenings. And thank you to everyone who dropped by today, supported the stream, and everyone who supported us over the weekend when we had our little moment of fame on the BBC. It was a wonderful time, and you're all wonderful. And as I said at the top of the stream as well, if you hadn't been supporting us for however many flipping years it's been, you know, that's where it really comes into play, is the fact that because you've been with us all this time and made TripleJump the success it is, that's why we're able to get opportunities like that. So thank you all for being with us and helping us get to the insane position where we receive a message out of the blue from the actual BBC saying, please, will you come on and be a guest on our show? So, yeah, wonderful stuff. Enjoy, as I say, the rest of your Monday evenings, and I'll see you on Thursday, and Ben and Ashton will see you in the meantime, I'm sure. Fantastic. All right then, everyone. Don't forget. The hippo's called Haggis.